In some situations, you may have a linear equation in which you have multiple variables, and you may want to work to isolate a particular variable within your linear equation. Well, the steps to do that are fairly similar to solving a linear equation in one variable. One of the things that does change is in step 2, where you're trying to isolate the variable you're wanting. You are essentially isolating your given variable from the other terms rather than from your particular constant terms. So let's look at these examples. The first one, we want to isolate the variable r from the other terms. And there's no simplifying we need to do to start with. We have this b on the same side, and so we want to get that b to the other side, so we're going to add it to both sides. Now the thing that changes here is when I move that b to the other side, there is no like terms on the other side already, so we're just going to kind of add it on the right side of that 5 because 5 and b are not like terms. And we're done. There's nothing else here to do. R is equal to 5 plus b. I can't combine 5 and b, so I am done. And let's isolate the variable t in this next equation. First thing I want to do is get rid of this p that's being added by subtracting p from both sides. P and c are not like terms, and so I can't combine them. I'm just going to put the minus p right beside it. And then next thing I need to do is isolate the t. And in this case, the coefficient is actually another variable, which is the letter r. And so I will be multiplying by r on both sides to isolate the variable t. And at this time, you can actually leave it like this. This isn't necessarily the simplest form, but you could leave it like this, or you could go ahead and distribute that r if you wanted to get rid of the parentheses. And these are two more, a little bit more steps involved. The first one here, number 3, we have a distributive property happening. Our variable we want to isolate is inside the parentheses, and so we need to do some work first to get it isolated. And there are two different approaches to this that you could do. The first one, like it says here in step 1, is to do distributive property. So I can go ahead and distribute that 3, and that gets rid of our parentheses, and now I can go ahead and add or subtract. And then get the coefficient out of the way. The other way you might want to do this might be to start with dividing out that 3 on both sides, which doesn't necessarily follow the step 1 by distributing, but it still gets rid of the parentheses in the first step like you want in there. And that would actually leave us with z plus 7. And then I can go ahead and subtract here. Now these are not like terms, and so I would be left with a over 3 minus 7 equals z. And you might be thinking, well, this is not the same as this, but actually they are, because if I actually pull those fractions apart and then simplified, I would see that they are equivalent. And the last one here, I want to isolate my variable x, and I have a fraction here. And this fraction is actually used as a grouping symbol. We have this operation going on at the top. First thing I need to do is get rid of the denominator by multiplying by the LCD. In this case is s. So I'm going to multiply both sides by s. That gives me x minus u equals sz. And now I can isolate my variable by adding u. And that is simplifying linear equations with multiple variables.